Lights are out, system down, and trying to pay rent. I gotta work it out, but it ain't that easy. Work 9 to 5, can't sleep at night. My money's all spent. I do anything to not go crazy. Whoa, miss the days when I was 18. Whoa, wish that I could turn back time. Whoa, take me back, please someone save me. 'Cause I'm not that good at real life. Oh, take me back in time. I'm not that for real Lights are out, system down, and trying to pay rent. I gotta work it out, but it ain't that easy. Work 9 to 5, can't sleep at night. My money's all spent. I do anything to not go crazy. Whoa, miss the days when I was 18. Whoa, wish that I could turn back time. Whoa, take me back, please someone save me. 'Cause I'm not that good at real life. Oh, take me back in time. I'm not that for real life. Oh, take me back in time. I'm not that for real life.
And good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful, transformative, awakening planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I am your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector. Good morning to you. Happy spring. Spring has sprung as of yesterday at 8:33 a.m. Being a numerologist, you know that I would know that based on the numbers. Got my flowers out today that I went and picked right out of the garden, and actually brought a spider in with me, which I wasn't too happy about, but I sent him back out to where he belongs. Not a big fan of spiders. I guess I really do suffer from arachnophobia. So how's everybody doing? I know there's a lot going on with our world. I know that there is a lot of change, a lot of transformation, a lot of uncertainty. And I want to read a quote by Khalil Gibran. And the quote is very fitting for today. Talking about our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but from wanting to control it. And I think a lot of us are wanting to control the future. We go from this pandemic. The pandemic is not over. I'm looking at my COVID stats right now. I work in healthcare, so I always keep an eye on the numbers of COVID. COVID is definitely decreasing, but we still have COVID. It hasn't just magically disappeared. So let's see, let's look at the numbers real quick. So we have about 971,164 deaths here in the United States. That number will never be accurate. Over 6 million around the globe in deaths. That number will never be accurate. But, that's a lot of people that have been impacted by this global pandemic. And then as this global pandemic starts to come down, and it will move, I have talked about this moving into an endemic in the next few months. I'm hoping by late April, early May that we'll get back to living with COVID. It's just going to be that awareness, and awareness is the greatest agent for change of living with this new virus and this variant that will continue. And we can get into the debate about vaccinations or mask wearing or not getting vaccinated. The studies is there, the medicine supports it. I go with science, I go with medicine. I work in healthcare. I have to be vaccinated because I'm in healthcare. And it's just going to be something that we're going to have to live with. But as we move from this pandemic / moving into an endemic and living with COVID in our future during our roaring 20s, we move into this uncertainty of what's going on in the country of Ukraine and the aggression of what Russia is doing. So I want to just take a second to reflect and to think on the people of Ukraine, but also the people of Russia, because there's people in Russia that don't want this, and that this doesn't get escalated to a world war if we're not already there yet and just haven't acknowledged it or don't want to identify it as such. Because I don't see how we don't pull back unless Putin grows a conscience, his own people rise up and take him out of power, or there is some sort of diplomacy, but diplomacy is only kicking the can down the road, because there'll be more aggression, more behavior of taking something that's, it's like a bully. You have to stand up to a bully, and if you don't stand up to a bully, they will keep bullying you. So let's just take a second. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's move into just setting an intent for peace, that we can actually de-escalate through diplomacy to not enter a new world war. We've already had two. You would think that we would have learned from history. History is there not for us to agree or disagree with, but to learn from history. So just setting the intention and the prayer and the love and the peace and no more violence or killing or murdering of innocent people. Just war in general, just setting that intent for the people of Ukraine and of course for the people of Russia that don't want this. And as a spiritualist, we have to also acknowledge Putin. We have to pray for him that he will grow a moral compass, that he will come to a conclusion that this war is not satisfying anything except his ego, and that he will pull back and that we can move into a form of peace. But from what I've been meditating on, what I've been seeing, it doesn't look like that's the case. So just thinking about the people of Ukraine during these very difficult times. So grab your coffee, grab your tea. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, where I try to be here. Let me do the stop share, where I try to be here so my microphone can pick up. I was sharing my desktop for the music so you get a better music quality. That song is literally called Real Life, because this is what real life is. I always say life is an acronym. Learn it from experience. And I try to come on Monday mornings for Facebook, on Patreon. If you're one of my Patreon prospectors, thank you for joining me on that journey. I have a few that have joined for monthly inspirations and meditations and numerology and sound baths. And if you sign up for the one membership, you even get a cool spiritual swag bag that I send you. But thank you to my Patreon prospectors. You can follow me also over on, I'm doing work over on YouTube, over on TikTok Live, over on Clubhouse. Insight Timer. I'm on a new app called Wisdom, and just having discussions, philosophy, meditation, sound baths, sound healing, prayer, philosophy, different discussions. And our anxiety does not come from thinking about the future, but wanting to control it. And we all know that the future cannot be controlled. All we can control is how we respond to the things that come into our life. So the mind is a very powerful place. Or as Paulo Coelho tells us, if you're brave enough to say goodbye, life will reward you with a new hello. And definitely believe that. I posted today, a picture. It shows Batman slapping Robin, and Robin's freaking out saying, you're going to hell. And Batman's slapping him saying, no, you're in hell, vibrate higher. So we need to vibrate higher. We need to know that in a time of darkness that we can be the light, that we have to stay positive. We have to, keep hope alive. Without hope, then really everything is lost. And if we move into a third world war, then that is something that we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. Like I said, it's not the first time we've done that. I hope it's the last time that we do that we don't enter. But just from what I'm watching, from the many different sources, I get my news from different sources, not just one source. And just pay attention to what's going on, because eventually it will impact everything. If you don't think war will impact you here, you're already seeing it with gas prices. You're already seeing it with food, inflation. You'll see it with more. If this escalates to a bigger, broader scale, you'll even be impacted even more. But maybe we'll get to the point in our journey, in our soul adventure, where war is not a thing, and that we realize that we're all humans. We share one planet so far, and that peace is actually the way moving forward. But our history doesn't show us that. So with that, I want to talk about today something I talked about yesterday at my service at Tower Memorial, my independent spiritualist church here in Seattle, which I'm honored to be a member of and always honored to speak at. And did the service yesterday as the featured speaker and medium. And so thank you to Tower, and thank you to Nancy, for the president, for inviting me in to share that. And it was the first day of spring, so spring has sprung, and the energy, the light, it's going to get lighter here in Seattle. We get 100 more minutes with daylight savings, which was interesting because, not to get into politics, because I don't follow politics, I'm a constitutionalist. But I saw that our Congress for our government actually unanimously agreed to move to what we would call daylight savings time. Now, I know for some of the followers of the show that are over in the UK, you actually spring ahead a week after we do. But I was just kind of, my mind was blown that Congress passed daylight savings bill to bring, so instead of springing ahead, falling back, and doing that, next year in 2023, we won't do that anymore, which gives us more light here in the Pacific Northwest. But, of course, everybody's going to have an opinion and squabble and rant and rave, because some of the Midwest and East Coast cities now are like, well, we'll be in darkness longer until 8, sometimes 9 o'clock in the morning. But, it's something that we've dealt with for since right before I was born in the 70s. They did that. They tried to work with it. But what got me was it was a unanimous decision. And I was like, wait, our parties are actually agreeing on something, a unanimous vote. And like, wait, have I woken up? Has this been a dream? Which government is supposed to do. It's supposed to work for the people. But we don't seem to find that lately. Probably the last 4, 5, 15, 20 years of politics. So I like daylight savings times. I like the light in the morning. Because in the Pacific Northwest, we have really short days. So I'm happy for that. But I thought I'd just mention that. So yesterday during the service, when I'm thinking about a message, I get my butt on the mat right here. And I think about me and Grogu hang out. And I think about what's going on. I kind of tap into the consciousness of society, what's going on with the pulse of the heartbeat of people, as an empath, as a sensitive, as a seer, looking at things that are happening. And one of the things that that the spirit world reminded me of was, a lot of times I never thought about death and dying, if you will. And it wasn't until, for those of you that have followed my work, it wasn't until my brother was murdered, and then 3 days later my older brother was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer, and my father-in-law had just passed away from multiple sclerosis, all young ages, all within the same time frame, 21, 35, 47. So I didn't really think about death and dying, if you will. It wasn't something that was in my wheelhouse. I've been around death. I've been working, for 8 years in the Coast Guard, and then I transferred into the fire service. So I had been called to other people's tragedies. I performed CPR. I've transported. I've done body recovery in my career, and so I'd always been around death professionally, but I didn't think about it. It didn't stay with me. And then after the personal traumas and tragedies, or what I now call today the TNT that blew up my life and put me to be on this path as a spiritualist, as a medium, as a psychic, as an intuitive, to talk and write about and have a radio show talking about all of these different philosophies. I started to think about death and dying more and more and more. My own what's my death going to look like? When am I going to pass? We just had a good friend of mine, his father-in-law just passed from a heart attack at church. And, you just never know. You never know when your time is up. But what was interesting is now in today, whether I'm doing readings or I'm doing a class or I'm being mentored by somebody, I'm always thinking about the spirit world. And so yesterday's message was, do we realize that the spirit world thinks on us? Do they get our attention by letting us know that, hey, Mark, I'm thinking about you? And what I mean by that is, my brothers and I used to play basketball outside in the backyard. On the garage, we used to have a hoop. And one of the things that was a big saying, I'm just kind of looking over my notes here from what I was saying yesterday, was I had a pretty rough go on Monday of this last week. There we are. And it was just a really oh, give me 1 second here. Our hot water tank went out. So let's see. So I had to respond to a text. Sorry about that. So the timing is always great. So our where's the Zoom room? Our hot water tank is gone. Well, it's going out, so I'm getting it replaced with the guys here right now. I needed to ask a question, so I'm kind of balancing two things, but that's life, right? And so from my message yesterday is, do we realize that the spirit world and those that have passed over, do they think about us and do they get our attention here back in the physical world? And the answer is yes. I didn't always think about, like I said, death and dying, after death communications, ADCs. I've done a lot of studies. I've been studied. I do a lot of research into, I actually follow an institute in Arizona where they talk about this, the scientific method of this, the spiritual principles, even as a spiritualist or at the Tower Memorial, because it's actually been proven that there is consciousness, that there is life after death. Now, you could get into debates and opinions about what heaven is, what hell is. But what I realized is people would always, when I was growing up, I was raised in a religious Catholicism, which, not just speak bad about Catholicism at all. They do a lot of good service, but it just didn't fit me. It wasn't for me, because I started looking at all religions around the world. And a lot of the religions would point to a location, to heaven being up or hell being down. And I thought, well, that's just, that doesn't make sense, because we're in this universe of thing called space. We're a planet floating around a big ball of fire. So how could you go up or how could you go down if there is no up or down in a round planet? You can't go up or down. So we start to think about fourth dimension, fifth dimension. Somebody explained it to me this way, and we were talking about it in my spiritual development group on Wednesday. A fish lives in a two-dimensional construct. So fish is swimming around, it's in its water. And if I reach in and I grab that fish and I pull that fish out of the water, it's now moved into a third dimensional construct. That's how I kind of see the spirit world, the metaphysical world, the etheric plane, is when we leave this body, it's like we're the fish being pulled out of the water, and we move from a three-dimensional, 2D, 3D life that we live in, and we've been pulled out. We leave our body, our soul, our energy, and we move into a fourth dimension or even higher dimensional vibration, if you will, because everything is energy and vibration and frequency, as Nikola Tesla talked about. And so for me, it didn't make sense that heaven would be this up place that we would ascend up to. Now, I think the concept and the philosophy is, because when we leave our body, and I've had a near-death experience, it is the sensation of leaving and going up. It is that sensation of leaving your body and going up. I remember when I was 5 and I'd fallen out of the tree and I was in a coma for a few days, I remember looking down at my body. So I did have that perspective of going up and looking back. So we call that ascension. And I think that's why people believe that religion, or that heaven is up and that hell would be down. I don't think hell is an actual real place. I think that it's here and what we go through. I think this is the living hell: war, violence, murder, cancer, multiple sclerosis, loss, whatever it may be. And I never really thought about all of this. And then, on Monday, I was having just a really frustrating day with my day job. Things were not going right. I was trying to get my computer updated. Nothing was working. It ended up being a whole day of just sitting, doing nothing. And it was supposed to be a 20-minute, job, like get in, get out. Nope. And so on my way home, I was just kind of frustrated, practicing the pause and my meditations. And I stopped at the Cheesecake Factory because, when you're having a frustrating day, what is dessert spelled backwards? Stress. You can't ever go wrong with sweets. I'm a sweet guy, but I love my sweets, as you can tell. So I stopped at the Cheesecake Factory and I texted my wife and said, hey, do you want me to pick up a couple good cheesecakes, see what their flavors are? And I was in the area, and she said, yeah. So when I pulled up, I pulled away from the restaurant because it was pretty packed. And so I always park my Jeep away and just walk in. It was raining. And when I stepped out of my Jeep, down on the manhole covers that are like a portal. It says portal on it. Sometimes I'm thinking like portal. There was one little dime sitting right in that little space of this manhole cover, and I went, oh man, spirit world is trying to get my attention. That's how my brothers communicate to me, through dimes. Now, I was saying earlier, the dimes are representation when we played basketball and we'd be dropping dimes. It's a term, it's a basketball term. Dropping dimes, you're on hot, nobody can stop you, you're on fire. It's like, throwing money up or dropping dimes. And so here's this one dime just sitting on this manhole cover, but it was enough for me to say, hey, I'm having a rough day in the physical world, but my brothers and my father-in-law are trying to get my attention. And I went, okay, so the spirit world does think of us. Now, when they get our attention, it's not what religious would talks about, a big booming voice from the sky, maybe a bush on fire, or maybe an angel comes down and says, hey. I haven't had those experiences in the many years of doing, mediumship and metaphysics and working with the psychic energy and the psychic sciences. But you do find that the universe starts to communicate with you in different ways if you're aware of it and you're open to it. So numerology, an ancient philosophy that goes back to Pythagoras in 400 AD, which is related to musical notes. It's also a cousin to astrology. So maybe some of you look at your horoscope, astrology, numerology, just had a full moon. This is the universe's way of communicating with you without using this crude thing called a voice, which is really a vibration off a vocal cord. So as I step out of the Jeep, there's this dime. Now I try to be logical and scientific with the work that I do. And of course, my logical ego brain kicked in and said, somebody obviously dropped that dime, right? In the real world, somebody got, but it's just a dime, right? But for me, it was enough to say, stop. Your brothers are only a thought away. Your father-in-law is a thought away. We're here. We see you. And it was enough to put a smile on my face. And then yesterday, when I was thinking about what I wanted to say during the service, that came into my mind. That's, that inspirational speaking that, they influence us and they encourage us to talk about. And for me, that's why I was like, okay, the spirit world does think about us. The question becomes, are we paying attention to it? So every time I find a dime, I collect it. Here's my stack of dimes, literally on my desk. I have literally 2 stacks of dimes. This is one stack. Let's see, there's one stack. I have another stack right next to it. It's because everywhere I go, I find dimes, and it's a reminder of my brothers are still dropping dimes from heaven. Now, if I could convince them to start dropping 50s and 100s, that would be much better. But as we well know, the spirit world doesn't care about money. Only humans are the only species that pays to live here. So, the spirit world does think about you. The spirit world and those that you have lost, whether it's a friend, a family member, a coworker, a fur baby, they will find ways to communicate with you to let you know that they are still a part of your journey. And even though they're not here in their physical essence, they're still here in their spiritual soul essence, their energy of who they are, that love, that resonance of love, connecting from the physical world to the unseen etheric world, if you will, or what you want to call heaven. And so I started after these events took place and I started to think about death and dying more and more and more. I realized that I'm not only thinking on the spirit world also thinks on me. And if I'm aware of it, they will get my attention. Signs, symbols, synergy, synchronistic events. And that's what I teach on. That's what I've learned over my course of going through my own journey. And I share with people, and I don't expect people to believe what I say because people are not going to understand until they've gone through it personally in their own journey. But for those of you that have gone through a loss, a murder, lost somebody from cancer, or watched somebody suffer from the effects of multiple sclerosis or another nervous system, or COVID, lost a friend to COVID and a colleague to COVID. Until you've gone through it, you really don't relate to it, I find. So, but I share these experiences Monday mornings, talking about different ideas and different thoughts to motivate you, to inspire you, to encourage you, to get you thinking outside the box, to let you know that life is short. Have that attitude for gratitude today, because today is all that's guaranteed. Tomorrow is not, and you can't change yesterday. And just try to be, try to do better. Try to be the better version of yourself. That's what I try to do. Always making mistakes. I always, teach my my students. And good morning to my team, by the way. I don't think I said good morning to you. I always teach them about failure. Failure is a big part of life. And like I said, life for me is the acronym of learn it from experience. And we only learn by failing. And failing is first attempt at learning. Nothing bad. I don't think there's anything bad about failing. I think society puts that label and that, that hat that, oh, if you're a failure. Yeah, I am a failure and I am learning. And if I continue to fail doing the same thing over and over again, that's a definition of insanity. But if I'm failing and I'm progressing and I'm transforming and I'm growing and I'm learning, then I'm doing good in life. Or, as Oprah Winfrey reminds us, what did I say today? About writing your own script. I can't remember right off the top of my head. I was looking at quotes today, and it was about writing your own script. Oprah Winfrey said, let's see if I can find it. It's on my Intuitive Prospector page. So if you're following me on my page, great. Thank you for the follow. Get on the page. This is where this is where we'll get ready for the cafe. I'm not sure what cafe I'm going to do yet. I'm thinking about it right now. Because again, I go improv with a lot of my work. I don't have an agenda or script, or I don't follow any of that. But if you go to my Intuitive Prospector page and you subscribe or like or follow, you can follow me also on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or YouTube, or get on my newsletter, Soul Adventures. What did she say here? Here it is. You define your own life. Don't let other people write your script. You define your own life. And today is all you have. Maybe you haven't thought about death. Maybe you haven't thought about dying. Maybe you have. Like I said, it's not something that I thought about in my young 20s, and at the age of 27 my life changed. And the age 27 is a very interesting age for many people, from artists to musicians. You can always look at the numerology aspects of a great transformation for people that think about when you were 27. They usually come in 20 years, 27, 47, 67. It's very interesting, if you will. But I didn't think about death and dying. Now I do. It's a big part of the work I do. Working with people that are grieving, working with people that have lost, trying to do my best to bring their loved ones through, using my voice as a message. Not always right. Several times I'm wrong, and that's part of failure. First attempt in learning, but getting better at what I do. But I don't let other people define my life. I write my own script, and I like to share my script with other people, because I usually find that people can relate in some aspect to what's going on, through loss, through meditation, through awakening, through transformation, about finding that diamond within, if you will. And if you become aware through signs, symbols, synergy, synchronistic events, you'll realize that the unseen world is all around us, and they do get our attention. The universe does speak to us. What I said about synergy is the combination of spiritualism and energy. Synergy. That synergy is the energy that who you are, the energy that makes your heart go, and that blending, your auric field, or what science would call the human energy field, the HEF, that blends with an unseen world. So behind me, you see all of my cool Star Wars stuff and the spring flowers and my singing bowl and all that. But from a visual perspective, from a metaphysical perspective, we only see about 1%. So that means that there's 99% of the world that we're not seeing. If you think about colors, the colors of the rainbow, we see rainbows when light's refracted, but those colors are around us right now. So I always say that we have 3 eyes in life: 2 to look, 1 to see. You don't always can trust these, because these can be very misleading. But when you start to open this eye, which is connected to the pineal gland, which is, another whole conversation of the crown chakra, the energy systems, the pineal gland is the same makeup as our eyes. It has liquid, it has a cornea, sits in the right back in the back of the brain. It's a small gland. Very fascinating. Done lots of studies on the pineal gland, or pineal gland, however you want to say it. I've heard it both ways: chakra, tomato. So, but it's about seeing here and becoming aware through your intuition, which is your energy, and trusting not necessarily what you see, but what you feel, or what what we call claircognizance. So the spirit world will get your attention. The spirit world is thinking about you. The question really becomes, are you aware of them? And nothing nefarious, nothing evil. I know there's a lot of Hollywood movies out there. I've been doing this work a long time, and I personally have had maybe 1 or 2 situations where it was me not understanding the connection. And what we don't understand usually leads us to a place of fear. I don't find, if it's not of the light, I don't resonate with it. If you're not a light, you must take flight. If it's of the dark, there's dark people. dark people that transfer over, their mannerisms still can carry over. They don't just become instant angels sitting on a cloud. That's fine. That maybe they were evil in life. You take somebody like Hitler, who was evil in life, and I have no doubt that, you know, part of his mannerisms have transferred over to the etheric world, the spirit world, and that he's learning from his mistakes and his big mistakes and his murderous ways that he did with people here in the physical world during World War II. But, you know, nothing demonic that I have experienced. And if I ever experience it, I'll definitely share it with you. But nothing nefarious, not what you see in Hollywood movies. Just becoming aware, and awareness is the greatest agent for change, as Eckhart Tolle teaches us. So think about it today. If you want, the spirit world is thinking about you. Are you thinking about the spirit world like I do? And are you aware that they're trying to get your attention? They may get your attention through a song, through a movie, through a look-alike. The list goes on and on and on if you know where to look. Mine happens to be dimes. When I found that dime on that manhole cover, which reminded me of a portal, I smiled. I said, thanks, guys. I needed to hear that. I needed to hear your voice. We want to hear the voice, but a lot of times that's not how it's going to be delivered. It will be delivered in a different way. But there are many forms of communications, is what I'm trying to say. And not all communications. This actually is a very primitive form of medication. Maybe it's a medication, but this is a very primitive form of communication, because this is just a vibration off a vocal cord that allows me to speak. Oh, there's some cool orbs. You guys seen these orbs fly through? Wow. So we'll get ready for the cafe. We'll do some readings. I hope that you're having a great Monday. Happy spring to you. We have sprung ahead. I know there's a lot going on in the planet. I really do. I see it. I feel it. I know my development group, we've been talking about this, and we have to let it pass through us because we can't control those outcomes, even though, you know, we want to control the future. And that's where your anxiety can be really brought up, is trying to control something that you're really not in control of. So I always lean to the serenity prayer, you know, to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage for the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. That's where I've been a lot this last year, you know, starting from, you know, the politics in the United States, the COVID here in the United States, now possibly a world war. There's more to come in our roaring 20s. This is not the end. But at the end of the day, I still talk about the great coming together, and seeing a majority of people pull together for, you know, an ethical, moral, golden rule, if you will, of paying it forward. There's a lot more people out there that want that than people that are of violence. But we live in a violent world, and you have to have awareness to that and acknowledge that. You just don't have to live in it. So I hope that helps. Again, visit my page, The Intuitive Prospector. Make sure to like or subscribe if you want to interact with me on future shows. You can also get on my YouTube channel. Your best place to go is marclainhart.com, or just internet search The Intuitive Prospector. When you go to my website, all the links are there. My radio show, which my podcast now is a top ranked inspirational podcast. So I'm always honored for that. It's at number 23. Number 23 of the best 70 podcasts to follow in 2022. We're going to have a cool guest coming up next Wednesday. I'm not on the air this Wednesday. We just had a great guest, Richard, who shared his journey of the spiritual, the adventures of the spiritual journeyman with us last Wednesday, which was great. Love his work, his CD. Hope to have him on again in the future. So if you have a topic that you want me to cover on my podcast, feel free to send me an email. Get on my newsletter, Soul Adventures, but it's all at marclainhart.com. All my different links, all of my different, you can ask Alexa. My Alexa's here. I changed her name to Computer, because if I say Alexa, she actually would turn on during the show, and then I get muted. But you can ask Alexa to open up positive living. And I've done tips, spiritual daily tips that help you. You can say, Alexa, open up positive living, activate that positive living application. And then every day you can get reminders that the spirit world is thinking of you, different, you know, ways of looking at the world, if you will. But it's called positive living. So my radio show is called Inspired Living. My Alexa app is called Positive Living. And your best place to go to get in contact with me or to book a reading is at marclainhart.com. I do want to say that the workshop coming up in May is we're moving forward. Another sign that we are moving forward from this pandemic into an endemic. We are going to hold the workshop in person at Tower Memorial here in Seattle, Washington. That event is sold out. So the 16 lucky people that got in to have 4 days with Paul Jacobs. I'm looking forward to having Paul here for the first time. I'm going to be hosting him. He'll be sleeping right on the other side of this wall, actually, for about 6 days here in Seattle, and teaching 4 days at the workshop of mediumship and intuition and psychic. He's a tutor at the Arthur Findlay College. I just saw that the Arthur Findlay College is going to open up in just a few days, so that's great to see. But that workshop is sold out. There is a wait list, so if you want to get on the wait list, we already have about five people on the wait list, I think. So if we get enough wait listed, that'll show Paul to come back and do another workshop here in Seattle, or somebody of his caliber that has been doing this type of teaching and mediumship for many, many years. Love to have people come here and share that here in the Pacific Northwest. But the event on Saturday night, tickets are now on sale to see him demonstrate up on the platform, up on the stage, to see him demonstrate his mediumship, which he's been doing for a long time. I'm very honored and humbled and happy to be able to kind of be the opening medium for him. So that's going to be a lot of fun, a learning experience for me, and I'm just very happy that I can have that opportunity with him. But tickets are on sale, so you go to my events page and you can get on those tickets. There's bring a friend discount, so if you want to bring a friend, and you may get a message. Not everybody will get a message, but we usually have a lot of fun, and you usually recognize that if we're connecting to one person, a lot of the information that's flowing through us usually connect with other people out in the audience. So if you've never been to a demonstration of mediumship, come check us out. That's going to be Saturday, May 21st, I think, from 7 to 9 at Tower Memorial. But we're moving ahead. The board has approved everything in person. I'm excited. We're getting back to this new normal, whatever that may be. But thanks for hanging out with me this morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. Just take that nice deep breath. There's a lot going on in our world. I know that. But at the end of the day, all we can do is be kind, caring, compassionate, and we can only be in control of how we respond to things. So I want to thank you for hanging out, and we'll get ready for the cafe here. I'm going to run down and just check with the plumber real quick that's replacing my water heater, make sure that it's okay. So give me a couple minutes, but I'll be back here in a few minutes for my team for the cafe. I don't know, what should I call it today? The hopeful cafe, that we can have hope in that things will change in our world. Maybe I'll go that route. So, all right, until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover that diamond within. I'll see you next Monday here on Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. Take care, everybody. Namaste.
One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Marc's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Marc's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.